Today on the Morning Edition, a man is in custody this morning charged with shooting and killing a man at a midtown Anchorage Circle K. We'll tell you what we know. Plus, evacuations from the west coast of Alaska are ongoing in what could be Alaska's largest evacuation in history, many arriving in Anchorage. We'll take a look at how things are progressing. And later, other parts of the country have also been affected by flooding. In New Jersey, life continues even as flooding occurs, even pizza delivery. And this delivery driver found a unique solution to the problem. We'll show you how as the Morning Edition starts now. Good Thursday morning, everyone. Thanks for waking up with us today. Aaron, what's going on with weather?
Well, we are seeing that stormy weather pattern really beginning to wind down, particularly for western and southwest Alaska. With that said, as we continue to progress through the next 1 to 2 weeks, we are going to see a train of lows that's going to build into the southern parts of the coast. So we're expecting to see more storms building into the Gulf of Alaska as we welcome in the coming days. So thankfully, this is not going to impact areas of western and southwest Alaska, but these fall storms will continue to build into the state. Waking up to 40 degrees here in Anchorage. We've yet to officially hit that first freeze of the season, but that does look possible as we welcome in the weekend. Many areas across South Central remaining fairly uniform in temperatures this morning, as practically all of us are sitting in the 40s. 46 in Cordova as well as Homer, 41 in Seward. We've got some scattered to periodic rain showers that have been with us from yesterday into this morning, and we'll continue to favor some of those wet conditions through the remainder of your Thursday into early Friday morning. Now, inland areas, we will see that potential for some rain showers, but like we typically see, most of the heaviest rain will grip areas of Prince William Sound, particularly out towards western parts of Prince William Sound, as well as out towards Seward. This is where we could see over an inch of rain accumulation on top of what we've already seen over the last couple of days. We've also got some increasing rain building into southeast. This is going to lead to several rounds of heavy rainfall over the next couple of days. We'll easily see 1 to 2 inches of rain for the Panhandle for your Thursday. So far today across South Central, coastal regions have seen just a few hundredths of an inch to nearly 3/10 of an inch of rainfall. And again, we are going to tack on an additional inch or so for coastal areas, while inland locations will see that potential for about 1/4 to 1/2 an inch of rainfall by week's end. So we're going to continue to hold on to this wet weather pattern as we've got a train of lows building into the Gulf of Alaska. I'll have more on that 7-day forecast for you coming up.
A shooting Wednesday left one man dead and another in custody. Adelmi Ruiz joins us now from the newsroom with those details right now. Adelmi.
Anchorage police say 36-year-old Joshua Gibbs is facing multiple charges, including second-degree murder after a deadly shooting at a midtown gas station. Officers responded to reports of shots fired at the Circle K on C and 36th around 10:20 Wednesday morning. Police say when they arrived, they found a man was shot. He died on scene. Gibbs was detained shortly after. No word on the name of the victim or a possible motive. Kristen.
All right, thanks, Adelmi. Now to the latest on the impacts of Halong. One person is dead and 2 others are missing. Troopers confirm 67-year-old Ella Mae Kashitok lost her life. Her son, Chester Kashitok, and his uncle, Vernon Pavel, are still missing. The family shared these photos with us, a glimpse into the lives forever changed when their home was swept away by floodwaters. Monday, searchers found Ella Mae's body inside of a house, carried downriver and left on the banks. But there's still no sign of the other 2. Relatives say Chester had just returned to the village, dreaming of going to college, and they remember Ella as a true sweetheart.
She was the kindest person. She opened her doors to people, and she was the best cook. She'd made the best food on the table, invited people all the time, and everybody loved her cooking. Chester was also a musically inclined person. He loved music, and I know that he was a Christian in his own way. I know that he used to like to sing at church.
Troopers have stopped actively searching for the 2 men, but they tell us they will respond if they get new leads.
This may end up being one of the largest airlifts of Alaskans in the history of the state due to a disaster. We're anticipating upwards of 1,400 people, I think is the number, coming in tonight, tomorrow. And I just want to thank the city of Bethel the authorities in Bethel, the leaders, the leadership in the villages, as well as here in Anchorage, the mayor, city of Anchorage, for opening up their arms.
Governor Dunleavy there at the Alaska Airlines Center in Anchorage last night as hundreds of people are being evacuated in an effort to find them a new home after their communities were destroyed. With mass evacuees arriving in Bethel and Anchorage, finding a place to stay has become a priority. At least 300 people have been evacuated to Anchorage. The picture you're seeing right now is of those people boarding a National Guard C-17 departing from Bethel. These evacuations are the latest effort in ensuring the safety of entire villages wiped out by Halong. Joe Allgood has details on what could potentially be the largest evacuation in Alaska history.
Right now, we're working to support those folks that have been impacted by the storm in a variety of different ways.
While the storm has passed, the loss of so much, entire homes even, has left residents of Kipnuk and Quigilinguk with the difficult choice of where to go.
They asked us to evacuate the entire community and to do that as fast as possible. That's happening right now.
In a mass exodus, entire communities uprooted with little more than the clothes on their back and the few belongings they could carry. The first stop for many was Bethel.
But Bethel is a small place, and this is a lot of people.
Now many are headed to Anchorage or Fairbanks, as the shelter at the Armory in Bethel was at capacity last night, with more on the way.
You know, if everything you had is gone except for what you're wearing, that's the situation, you know, these families are in. It's absolutely horrible.
And it's not just these two villages, but so many others. A few of them shown here, struggling with the impacts, still in need of supplies and preparing for winter. Some of those impacted have family or friends in other parts of the state that they can stay with, and the state is aiding in transportation for them as well. But for hundreds, they must find shelter elsewhere.
We'll look at ways to facilitate getting them to those other areas. But for now, we want to just get them all to safety, get them stabilized. This is a very traumatic experience for them.
The road ahead for these communities is long, and emergency response is looking at everything from hotel rooms to the eventual rebuilding process in the spring. But the main focus right now is getting people out and supplies to the other remaining communities. While strong storms are normal for the Bering Sea in the fall, some experts say former Typhoon Halong was different because its path caused a huge storm surge. Climate specialist Rick Tillman says one concern for the future is that the land in the Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta area is sinking due to permafrost thaw and sea levels are rising. This makes the area even more vulnerable to future storms and even more flooding during high tides.
And because of permafrost thaw, this land is subsiding, so it's getting lower. When you're only 10 feet above sea level, having that land sinking, as well as ocean levels rising. It's not a dramatic rise in the southeast Bering Sea, but when you only are talking a few feet above sea level, every inch matters.
Tillman also mentioned that climate change is contributing to warmer ocean temperatures, which can supercharge these storms, potentially making them more intense in the future. Chief Meteorologist Melissa Fry just returned from Western Alaska. She shares the story of one man from Quigilinguk spending his fourth night in a new place after his house floated away, and how his story reflects the struggle of an entire region.
It was devastating.
Stephen Aniver returned to see the condition of his home days after being rescued. Does it look like it could be repaired?
I don't think so.
We first spoke to Aniver the morning after he was rescued, surviving being in his home as it was carried by the floodwaters. He thinks about a half mile.
It was shaking. The house was shaking.
He described the terrifying moments inside, while outside, everything was being destroyed. He first made it to his brother's house, only to be evacuated again to the school. And he has since learned just how bad it is and what the needs are.
Some clothes, and some food and water, and shelter. They need shelter.
And then yesterday, he was taken to a new shelter in Bethel by plane, grabbing only what he could carry.
My dry clothes and my gaming console and some pictures.
It isn't home, but they took care of him for the night.
There was lots of food there.
From there, he was able to connect with his mom.
So glad that you got to be with your mom.
She was worried about me.
It's been a grueling 72 hours, and he doesn't know when, but he hopes to return to the Quingilingak he's known his whole life and to what it looked like before Halong, where he tells me his favorite activities were to fish, hunt, and gather berries.
And despite statewide storm damage, Alaskan communities are finding strength in numbers. Families from all over the state are meeting in Anchorage this week. Earlier in the week, the annual Elders and Youth Conference was held at the Denina Center. Today, the Alaska Federation of Natives Convention begins there. They both serve as ways to remember traditions and find ways to lift each other up throughout these difficult, trying times of loss.
It's really sad.
Yes, we feel bad. I wish they could have a disaster area to help these people. All we could do is pray for them.
Yeah, all of us being here, praying for each other, uplifting each other. You know, I've been asking everybody where they're from, just specifically. I spoke with a guy from Kivalina, and he was saying, yeah, we've been impacted. It's settling down, but just especially glad to be here.
The AFN convention runs through Saturday. When the Morning Edition returns, our investigative team continues their look into immigration policies here in Alaska and how they're affecting us and our neighbors.
And we continue to hold on to some rain across the Gulf Coast region. More rain and possibly some flurries mixing in at the surface for portions of South Central. I'll have more on that first at sunrise, 8:45 in Anchorage, 7:36 of Juneau. Your full forecast is next.
Welcome back. 15 minutes past the hour on this Thursday morning. And Aaron, you said more wintry-ish weather is in our near future.
Yeah, possibly seeing that potential that we could see some flurries mixing in at the surface as we welcome in the weekend and next week for portions of South Central. That comes as our temperatures are set to cool, particularly through the overnight hours. So it's really just going to be a brief opportunity that we could see some flurries mixing in at the surface through the weekend and into early next week. With that said, no impacts are to be expected. It's still entirely too warm that we're not going to see any of that snow accumulation. A train of lows, though, will impact southern Alaska here over the next week. We've got the heaviest rain for coastal areas from south central to southeast, and of course, we're watching our first freeze of the season. There's our current area of low pressure that's building east out of the Alaska Peninsula. We've still got some persistent showers on the backside of that system that's impacting areas of southwest Alaska, but of course, most of that rain is through south central and into southeast. We've also got some moisture kicking north into the interior where we'll see some areas of rain and snow sticking around throughout your Thursday. Of course, most of that snow will be above about 2,000 feet, but we could see into the overnight hours on into tomorrow, those snow levels dropping several hundred feet. So we could see some snow mixing in at the surface for Fairbanks. There's our upper level flow. Notice our jet stream kind of pulling in from the southwest to the northeast. This is what we're going to begin to see when it comes to our stormy weather pattern here over the next week or two. Our storms will continue to sweep to the east, so areas of western and southwest Alaska will largely be shielded from most of these storms. But notice we've got the current storm system that's bringing some rain and winds across south central and southeast. We've got another one that's skirting just south of the Aleutian chain. That's going to build into the Gulf of Alaska as we welcome in the weekend and into early next week. That will lead to the potential that we could see some heavy rainfall building into portions of southeast. And then on the backside of that system, we've got another area of low pressure that will build into the western or just south of the western Aleutians this weekend. That will arrive on our doorstep as we welcome in next week. So that train of lows will keep some precipitation in the forecast for the southern coastline. And there will be that potential that we could see some flurries mixing in at the surface, particularly through the overnight hours when we see those temperatures dip down into the 20s and the 30s later this weekend and into early next week. So we're still entirely too warm to see that. However, by Saturday and Sunday and Monday, you can see those overnight lows dipping into the 20s and the 30s. This is where we will see the potential that some wintry mix could make it in at the surface or mix in at the surface But again, little to no impacts expected as it's entirely too warm for any snow to really accumulate. We are expected to see temperatures warming into the mid-40s as we welcome in the coming days. And we're also going to be watching some of those rain showers. So a chance for some showers stays with us through at least Saturday. Any lingering moisture we see Saturday morning could lead to some light flurry activity mixing in at the surface, but primarily all rain. And then as we welcome in next week, highs in the upper 30s, lower 40s. And Kristen, those overnight lows are expected to dip down near that freezing mark.
All right, thanks, Aaron. Continuing coverage of our investigation into Alaska immigration enforcement, state numbers show more than 40 undocumented people this year have been detained through workplace operations. The Trump administration calls the I-9 audits necessary to combat employers hiring what they call illegal workers and human trafficking. But immigration advocates say the operations are really about targeting undocumented workers without criminal records, not employers. Augusta McDonald speaks with one woman who's now back in Anchorage, released on bond after months in detention.
I couldn't breathe.
Paula Guzman was arrested in July outside of a home she was scheduled to clean.
I felt like this creeping numbness from the bottom, from my toes all the way up. I felt like I just got paralyzed.
Her sons, Aldo and Nicholas, were born in the United States. Guzman spent several months in the Tacoma Detention Center.
One day I remember there was the day I wanted to keep up, and I went outside and I started screaming the name on my kids.
I always talked to her. We always did things together, and not having her there with me, it was so painful. And then there were some nights I couldn't hold it. I was so sad. I was crying. It was just a lot to take mentally.
Guzman was released on bond last week. The Department of Corrections told Alaska's news source she's one of 56 people detained by federal immigration officials in Alaska this year. 41 of those, like Guzman, were not related to a crime. Anchorage immigration attorney Nicholas Solano says I-9 audits at workplaces are being used by federal immigration officials to target undocumented workers. In a statement, he says the tool designed to keep employers in check is being used against the employees HSI is supposed to protect from trafficking and other abuse.
It's not okay to enter a country illegally, which is a crime.
That's what Trump border czar Tom Homan told 60 Minutes last year. ICE's website goes on to explain ICE conducts worksite enforcement operations to ensure businesses comply with immigration and employment laws.
What do you have to say to those people in our community who might see this story and think, oh, why wasn't she deported? She doesn't have citizenship.
Well, I think they are, the people that think like that, they see the bad sides of some of the immigrants. But most of, like my case, I just come to do, to have a good opportunity here.
For now, she's reunited with her sons. But the family knows, much like the debate that continues, their future remains uncertain. Augusta McDonald, Alaska's news source.
Guzman's removal hearing is scheduled for February. Immigration attorneys say the outcome could set a precedent for dozens of other cases across Alaska. This is one of several similar immigration enforcement actions we're taking across Alaska. Our investigative team will continue following these stories as they move through the courts.
You've been listening to the Alaska's News Source podcast. Subscribe to have the latest episodes delivered to your library automatically.